This podcast is brought to you by North Carolina's electric cooperatives.
This is NC Spin, an unrehearsed discussion on issues of interest to North Carolinians. Now, here is your moderator, Tom Campbell.
Thank you for watching this July 4th celebration of NC Spin. Each week we share with you opinions from seasoned analysts, but this week we've got a refreshing change of pace. We always enjoy learning from our young people, and our panel this week consists of 4-H club members from across the state. We're going to ask them about what they think about today's issues. So let's introduce them to you. First of all, Beth Harris from Taylorsville, North Carolina, Isaiah Lacewell from Elizabethtown, North Carolina, Kennedi Lyons from Hope Mill, and Guillermo Estrada from Pikeville, North Carolina. We'll begin our uninterrupted debate after these brief messages from our underwriters.
They're up before dawn and work late into the night. They believe in hard work, family, and doing the right thing. They stand up for their communities when others walk away. They're good people who just want a fair shake. They are farmers. At North Carolina Farm Bureau, we are proud to stand with our farmers.
Today's tools make you a real DIYer, and as a member of an electric cooperative, you have lots of valuable tools to help you do it yourself in controlling your home energy use and budget, leaving you free to be Dad.
Partners for Innovation in Healthcare. We're supporting common sense solutions for North Carolina's healthcare delivery system, promoting access, affordability, quality care, and innovation. Visit us on the web at pihc.info.
Production underwriting provided by the North Carolina Academy of Family Physicians. Family Physicians, your trusted healthcare advisor for life. Let's get started. I think it's always a good idea to help introduce our panel to you before we get to know more about specific issues. So I'm going to ask each of you to tell us whether, educationally, whether you go to public school, private school, or homeschooled. Kennedi, I'll start with you.
I go to Graves Creek High School, and I'm going to the 9th grade.
Okay, very good. Guillermo?
I go to Wayne School of Engineering and going to the 9th grade, and it is a public school.
And, okay, good. And so far as it, Beth?
I go to Alexander Central High School, which is a public school, and I'm a rising senior.
In Taylorsville, Alexander County. All right. Isaiah?
I'm a rising senior at East Bladen High School.
Public school, too?
Public school,
All right.
yes.
Good. All right. Well, you fall into the age group after millennials. We used to talk about the millennials so much. Y'all are the group after the millennials. I think they call them Generation Z now. From what you know about this, how do you think your generation differs from the millennials? Guillermo?
We're very fast-paced, and we want things done immediately because we've always had technology at our fingertips. So I think that we are a very fast-moving generation, and we like to have things done quickly.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Beth, what would you say?
I think that our generation is very innovative with the ideas that we have, and that we hope that our future will be really prosperous, and hope that we have really great families and great lives.
Optimistic. Yeah, Isaiah.
A very internet savvy generation.
Yeah.
We're definitely in a new coming of time.
So the next time I'm having problems with my iPhone, I should call you.
Call anybody you see on.
Kennedi.
I think our generation is very tech-oriented and more independent in certain ways than like millennials would be because of all the devices that we have at our disposal.
When you talk about devices, what are we talking about? Smartphone?
Smartphones, computers, just...
Laptops, iPads?
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. All right. So I want to go around and ask y'all, how would you describe yourself politically? Are you liberal, moderate, or conservative? Isaiah?
Ooh, a little bit moderate.
Moderate?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would
all
say.
right. And Annabeth?
I kind of don't have an opinion on that one. I'm very across the board with certain things, so.
Okay. All right. Guillermo?
Moderate, definitely.
Moderate.
Moderate, and open to new ideas.
Now, this is unusual because typically when I'll have 4-H'ers on, I'll get one or two conservatives and one or two liberals and maybe one or two that kind of fall in between. This is interesting. So having said that, how would you describe the current political climate in our country right now? Guillermo?
It's very divisive. It's very, it's either this or that. And I think that's very bad because we should be able to listen to different opinions and not just stay closed on just this one single opinion.
Very divisive.
Yes.
Annabeth?
I think that our political situation right now is very negative. There's a lot of this is what I think, this is what I think, and I think that it should be more of we need to hear everybody's opinion. There's all different opinions, and just listening to two of them isn't going to be able to make good decisions.
Maybe your generation can help us with that. Kennedi?
I think that everybody's talking at once and nobody's really listening to what anyone else has to say. They just want to get their point out, and they don't care whose feelings or whose opinions that they heard.
You know, I hope our audience is hearing this because I think you're absolutely right. Isaiah?
I would say very race-driven and a love-hate relationship in a way.
Yeah.
Because we have one side that's looking at another side but doesn't understand the full story from each other. So it's kind of like two people who are like friends that don't really talk.
Kind of like she's talking about. We're talking at each other, not talking with each other?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, interesting. All right, so the next question is, do you keep up with current events? And if you do, where do you normally get your news? Television, newspapers, radio, internet? Annabeth?
So I do keep up with some of the national news. If I do, I usually watch the news on the television in the morning. I get a little annoyed with it every once in a while, and then I just quit watching it. So
now, is it talk shows or is it network?
Network.
Yeah, okay. All right. Guillermo?
I do go on networks websites. We don't have cable, so we just go online, and I'll look at mostly local and national news.
Yeah, Isaiah, you keep up with news? Where do you get it?
I get it on social media, internet, basically.
Yeah.
And every time I see news, it's just like, it really aggravates me.
Now, are we talking more like Facebook and those types of news sites, or?
I don't really do Facebook, but maybe like Instagram. Instagram, that's what it is, Instagram.
Right. Okay. Kennedi?
Mostly the radio, or if I'm watching like local news or regular like Raleigh news on the TV.
All right. So one of the big discussion items that has been very prominent in the news, nationally particularly, has been immigration. How closely are you following this discussion on immigration? And I'd like to know your opinion. Are we allowing too many immigrants, too few, or just about the right number? Annabeth?
I think that we are allowing too many immigrants, but I also think that everybody should have a fair and equal chance of being able to become an American citizen. So I think in the same way, we should be able to allow many people to be able to come into our country.
So generally, what do you think of this immigration discussion that's taking place? I mean, I want to go back to what Kennedi was talking about a little bit. I mean, it's so divisive and it seems to be so hateful in some respects.
I think that it is very hateful, but in the same sense, you have to be able to have an equal opportunity, and that equal opportunity should be given to everybody.
Yeah. Guillermo, you were telling me that your parents are immigrants to this country. So what's your take on this immigration situation?
Well, I believe that, like Annabeth was saying, there should be equal opportunity. But at the same time, you have to think about all the children that are being trafficked into the United States. My presentation for 4-H this year is human sex trafficking. And 14,500 to 17,500 kids are trafficked into the United States each year. So I think that we really have to find a balance between letting in people that really do want to work here and have the American dream, and making sure that they're not bad people that want to traffic kids that are coming in from the southern border.
Congratulations to you by this. Human trafficking is a huge problem, and it's under the radar screen for a whole lot of people. And we need folks like you to help bring it to the forefront and make us aware of it. Isaiah, what's your take on immigration?
I don't think there's a take, I would say. I don't think it's a belief.
Okay.
I agree with what both of these people are saying about how we don't need to allow, human trafficking, or we don't need to allow people who are just going to do wrongdoing come to this country. But at the same time, I don't think it's right that fathers and mothers are being taken away from their children and going back to another country.
So I think what I hear you saying is you're not necessarily for just open borders. Anybody can come in, but if they're going to come in, you want families kept intact.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I think families should be together.
Kennedi.
Yes.
I think that I feel like there's always going to be a hard balance between the right amount of people coming in and too many people coming in because of all the people that live in these types of countries. And I feel like that America should try to help the people in these countries so that not as many people have to come if they don't need to.
Yeah, and I've been interested in following some of the debates about why are they coming. And it's typically because of dangerous circumstances or poverty or whatever like that in the countries of their origin. And that, of course, is throwing all of this back on us because as a country, we really don't have a good immigration policy in this country. For some reason or another, going back to what you folks have been saying, our politicians can't seem to get together and make any decisions, worthwhile decisions that make sense for everybody. Annabeth, a lot of public opinion polls, the 2020 is going to be a big election year. A lot of public opinion polls show President Trump's approval ratings are lower than any president we've had in modern times. Do you approve of the job the president is doing? And if so, tell me why.
I approve of certain things that he's doing. I think that his use of social media is very immature and that it's not what you should be doing to get people's opinions. I think he could be a lot more observative of people and how their feelings are and what they view as right and wrong. And I think that he's just very scattered with what he does, and some of the things that he's doing is just in spite of hurting people.
Mm-hmm. But I think I heard you also say that there's some things you thought he was doing well.
Yes, I think that with him really bouncing the economy off for farmers is great. My whole entire town is farmers. My family is one of the biggest farming families in my community. And he has set a great opportunity for those people in agriculture to prosper in their business. So I think with his new kind of way of doing agriculture and business is correct, but there's also certain things that's not really all that great.
Is your family being affected by these tariffs that have been imposed with other countries?
Somewhat. My family's really been affected by the immigration laws here lately. We do have a bunch of people that come over from Mexico to help us pick our produce.
Right.
And with the new immigration laws, it has been a lot harder for us to get workers to come in.
What are they called, H-2B visas?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I hear this a lot from farmers, from that matter. Isaiah, what's your opinion of President Trump?
I think that he's doing a very childish job, honestly, because the things he's doing on social media, it's not really, mature, as she said. And recently, the Central Park 5, they got exonerated and all those things, and his response to that whole situation was they were guilty.
Yeah.
So I thought that was just kind of immature.
And that was what, 15 years ago, 20 years ago?
He's not handling his job in the presidency way. He just handling it as a guy who just has money and do what he wants, in my opinion.
Wow, interesting opinion.
Yeah.
All right. And what would you say about this, Kennedi?
I think my review on him would be very hot to cold because he has done some good things for making more people want to vote during the past few years, but other things he lacks, like his response to public opinions and how he interacts with the public in general, just could use a lot of work. But he's done some moderately okay things.
And the big criticism is he's playing to a certain base of people, but doesn't seem to be reaching out to the whole universe of people in America. Would you agree with that?
I would agree because some of the things he's done makes it seem like someone's telling him to do it, like he can't do it himself without someone encouraging him to act that way.
Interesting. Guillermo, what would you say of the job President Trump's doing?
I agree a lot with, especially with this Twitter account. I think someone needs to take the phone away from him.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. I think that's very immature for a president to do, especially seeing that a lot of people disrespect the president, and that's something that I don't agree with. But at the same time, he has to deliver that same respect to other people. But overall, economically, he's done a very good job. And also with immigration, he's just enforcing the rules that already existed, and I think he's been doing a really good job of enforcing that.
I heard a theme here. Two of you said immature insofar as this twittering is concerned, or tweeting is concerned. Well, let's move to the state level then. We've got Democrat Roy Cooper, who is our governor. He's dealing with the legislature controlled by Republicans. How would you rate the performance of Governor Cooper?
I think he's done a good job based on what is facing him and the sides that are arguing between him. But overall, he hasn't done that bad.
So you would give him maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, what?
Like a 7.
Oh, good. All right. Isaiah.
He knows how to say no. Recently, he vetoed a bill earlier today, and I was thought, wow, he's a guy that just understands that no is no.
Yeah.
So his performance, I'd say, is like very strong, very
I think
firm.
he's vetoed more bills than any governor we've ever had.
He's a firm dude. He's very firm. So I would give his performance maybe a 6.
Interesting discussion. I mean, knows how to say no.
Yeah.
Interesting. Annabeth.
I agree with Isaiah. He does know how to say no, but I think in certain circumstances, you being able to say no is a little too powerful. There has been two sides of the conversation and discussion, and I think that with the time, you know, vetoing is okay in certain circumstances, but when you have certain things, vetoing is not. I think that one person shouldn't really have that much power of saying that's not going to work for us. So
on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate him?
I would rate probably a 5.
Okay. So I got a 7 and a...
I said 6.
6 and a 5. All right. Guillermo.
I think that it's bad that he's vetoing so many bills. I mean, I understand if there's something that you strongly believe in, take a stance and say no, but at the same time, you can't be vetoing every time a bill comes to your table. So, in my opinion, I think he deserves a 5, like Beth says.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and that's fairly consistent, by the way, with his approval ratings across the state. So you guys are pretty right on there. What would you say, if I ask you, and I am asking you, Isaiah, what's the biggest problem you see in North Carolina right now?
I think too many of us are financially illiterate.
Illiterate?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm saying not everyone, but of course people in my age group, maybe a little bit below, we're learning too much about things that's not going to help us in like the real world. I've had a lot of conversations with my teachers who taught me formulas and equations on how many newspapers being thrown each day, and I'm thinking, well, I have taxes to do when I get older, not newspapers. So we definitely need to be teaching more about finances.
What a perspective. And you know, it's interesting because one of the things that's been going on in the legislature is they want to see a section in our public schools guaranteed teaching financial literacy.
And we deserve that.
Of course, they also want to see civics being taught, and that's not being taught very well. They want to see North Carolina history being taught. That's not being taught very well. And they just added recently a segment on the Holocaust because they're saying some people don't believe there was one. Kennedi, what would you say is the biggest problem facing a state?
I'd say the whole healthcare with Medicaid and Medicare debacle.
Yeah. So on the issue of Medicaid expansion that has been before the legislature right now, you favor of it or opposed to it or what?
I think that if people can't get private coverage and if they can't essentially afford one, then they should be able to get the other. It should be a right that you can have free health care.
So health care is, in your opinion, health care is a right, not just a privilege. Okay. All right. Annabeth, what do you think is the biggest problem facing North Carolina?
I think our biggest problem is our education system. I don't believe that students should be held to a certain curriculum because all students learn in a different way. I think that certain resources for special needs students are not available to certain people, and the paperwork and the research that you have to do to get those things is extensive. I think that you should also have a right to health care. That's another issue with the special needs students is a lot of these parents that have special needs kids, they have to have certain health care plans to be able to get certain therapies for their students. This is in my family right now, I just learned about. And without having a certain health care plan, you cannot get special autism therapy for students, and I think that this is a huge issue with our education system and the curriculum part.
And it transcends over to the health system.
Yes, and the curriculum part, I don't learn the same way that Guillermo does. And I think that setting a standard for a student is not correct because he may not learn as fast-paced as I, or I might not learn as fast as he does. So I think that the curriculum is not what we should be doing. We should be teaching at a very slower pace maybe for certain kids, and then there should also be a certain system where kids that learn faster have a certain way that they can learn and certain objectives that they have as well.
And so far, you mentioned educational systems. For instance, I'm one who is an auditory learner. You talk to me and I can learn.
Yes.
My wife is very good about reading stuff and learning it. So there are two different ways of doing that. What would you say is the biggest problem, Guillermo?
Definitely education. In my county, we have my school, which is Wayne School of Engineering, and it's been made to cater to students' needs. So just like Annabeth was saying, we may not learn the same way, but teachers there use lots of skills, such as providing flashcards or doing games that would cater to every student's needs. Another reason that education is such a big problem is in my county, we also have Edgewood Development School. It's recently lost a lot of funding, and that's very bad because a lot of those kids have special needs, and it's a school made for special needs children. So now their building is falling apart. So I think that we should really pinpoint where our main focus is, and that should be education and educating our future leaders.
Now, you said you were in high school, engineering high school. Is this an early college kind of program?
Yes, so once you start high school, you'll be dual enrolled if you do pass your college placement test. So we'll be taking college and high school classes.
There are some of these classes at a community college, like Wayne Community?
Yes, Wayne Community College will take them. So we'll take our high school classes at our school and then our community college classes.
Interesting, interesting. I think, Kennedi, you were the one that sort of introduced the subject of health. North Carolina has a history of poor health. During World War II, we had a tremendous number of people who couldn't pass the physical exam and couldn't join the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines because they couldn't pass the exam. We ranked 37th in the nation in health, and the problem is especially acute in rural areas. Some of y'all live in relatively rural areas. A number of our rural hospitals have closed. Maybe you've seen that happen. Patients are having to travel sometimes 20, 30 miles in order to be able to get to a hospital. We've got 3 of our counties who don't have a doctor. 20 don't have a pediatrician. 26, a quarter of our counties don't have an OBGYN. And 3 haven't had a dentist in 10 years. So far as rural health is concerned, the question a lot of people are asking right now is, what do we need to do to get doctors to come to these rural areas and practice medicine? Do you think we ought to be subsidizing them, paying for, help them subsidize their salaries to be able to go into smaller areas? Annabeth?
I think that we should. My county hasn't had a hospital in 10 years. Our old hospital is now empty. They recently had a Ghostbusters group come in there. It was really strange. But my county also only has 3 like family doctors' offices, and those 3 family doctors are very, very packed with patients. We don't have an OBGYN. We don't have a pediatrician. We do have dentist offices. But with us not having a hospital, we have an urgent care, and a lot of these people that have really bad injuries go to urgent care thinking that they can help them. And the closest hospital is in Hickory, which is 45 minutes away. Yeah. So I think that definitely subsidizing doctors would be a great idea.
Anybody disagree with that idea? Yeah. Let me move on. I want to know what your future plans are. You guys are bright. I'm very impressed with what you're telling me. Guillermo, what are your plans? You're in early college right now. College, community college, trade school, what?
Definitely NC State. I want to go to NC State for business administration.
Oh, you already got this picked out. Yeah, all right. And what's your major going to be?
Business administration.
Wow. Yes. Great. All right. Kennedi?
I want to go to A&T and major in broadcasting communications to be a
So we're right in your wheelhouse right now,
yeah.
Is that right? Yeah, okay, broadcasting, communications, good field. All right, Isaiah?
Well, I don't want to be in the state. I would like to go to either Morehouse or Kennesaw State. And if I go to Kennesaw State, I would like to get my electrical engineering.
Ooh, double E.
Yeah. And if I go to Morehouse, I would like to get business administration.
Interesting. Annabeth?
I have a lot of lists of colleges since I'm a rising senior this year, but I'd love to go for agriculture
Have you
education.
been through this application process yet? Have you started that?
No, I get to start that on August the 1st.
Whoa, it's quite a challenge.
I've heard.
Yeah, and what young people are telling me is that you can't fill out just one college app. You said you go to NC State, but I mean, that you can't fill out just one application because you got to fill out a whole bunch of them.
I wish the parents understand.
One of the problems with education today is student debt. And there are a lot of kids who are very fortunate and have parents and families that can support their college education. But the typical college graduates with more than $30,000 worth of debt before they get started in life. So far as it goes, Isaiah, is this, what do you think of this? I mean, this seems like you're in a hole to begin with.
Exactly. And I think that's not right, honestly, because how is it if I want to have dreams to better myself and better my mental state of mind, I have to be in debt just to do that. And this Bernie Sanders, he's talking a good game. Hopefully he'll be able to help those kids out who's in debt.
Yeah, yeah. Anybody else have an opinion on this?
I think that they should have more easily accessible like student aid programs and more like less in-debt loans, and so that by the time you get out of college you don't have like a lifetime's worth of money to pay.
Not long ago we had another shooting in Virginia Beach. The subject of gun control keeps coming up. Most everybody agrees that we need to have the Second Amendment rights for you to own and bear arms. But do you think we need more gun control regulations, Guillermo?
Yes, most definitely.
Specifically what?
First of all, people with mental illness should not have the access to guns. Most of the people that do have mental illnesses have caused the shootings, and that's something that I think we need to do a psychological evaluation, and we also have to have a very extensive background check. Anyone with criminal offenses or felonies should not be able to.
Anybody different with that or have anything to add to that?
Like adding on to what Guillermo was saying, like the people who are owning the guns, we need to know like who they are, what they're doing, and I understand like protecting your household, but at the same time that goes to a certain extent. Like if you're endangering people all the time, you don't need to have them.
Well, let me tell you something. I got a whole bunch of questions we didn't get around to. We may have to get you to come back here and talk to us again. But I thank you so much for participating with us. We hope you've enjoyed this special edition of NC Spin, and we thank our 4-H Club members from across the state for sharing their viewpoints with us and being willing to open up, and I'm sure you're as impressed with them as we are. Next week, we're going to return to our regular NC Spin format, and you can check us out on ncspin.com or NC Spin on Facebook for more information all during the week. Until then, stay informed and watch out for the spin. Happy July 4th.
They're up before dawn and work late into the night. They believe in hard work, family, and doing the right thing. They stand up for their communities when others walk away. They're good people who just want a fair shake. They are farmers. At North Carolina Farm Bureau, we are proud to stand with our farmers.
Today's tools make you a real DIYer, and as a member of an electric cooperative, you have lots of valuable tools to help you do it yourself in controlling your home energy use and budget, leaving you free to be Dad.
Partners for Innovation in Healthcare. We're supporting common sense solutions for North Carolina's healthcare delivery system, promoting access, affordability, quality care, and innovation. Visit us on the web at pihc.info.
Production underwriting provided by the North Carolina Academy of Family Physicians. Family Physicians, your trusted healthcare advisor for life.
North Carolina Channel is made possible by the financial contributions of viewers like you who support the UNC TV network.